r/AskReddit. What is just a placebo effect, but most people don't realize? How long it takes a coinsta to process and count coins and return a receipt. It finishes quickly. So quickly that folks are skeptical of the accuracy. So a fake delay, with fake counting noises, was built in, giving folks more confidence in the results. That's amusing and I absolutely believe it. A lot of scans do this as well. Not virus scans, those just take a damn long time, but sites that show you the best deals are often done in 100 milliseconds. They are not really doing anything that intensive, just make a few requests to AutoTrader or whoever, which probably only returns 15 cars, and sort by lowest price. But people wouldn't believe it was the best price if it came back instantly. They wouldn't think it looked hard enough. So they make them wait a little. Definitely, I've used a background check website that goes through a big elaborate series of scanning records progress bar animations. They even divide it into segments, like checking criminal records, checking property records and so on. But here's the thing, they only do all this rigmarole if you search for someone's name on the main site before you have made an account. After you make an account, the exact same kind of searches are done instantly. I'm not sure if it still does this, but at one time Google Docs intercepted the Ctrl+S shortcut and briefly changes the cursor to the thinking cursor, hourglass, beach ball, whatever your computer does. You don't need to save your Google Docs. They save every tiny change on the server. But people are used to doing it. If I don't see a saving animation, I'll assume the saving process didn't work. But that's what I'm saying. There's no saving process. The animation is the only thing that happens when you hit Ctrl+S. Listen, I have decades of paranoid gamer mentality that will not yield to your correctness. Did I just save that? Better save again just in case. Beats headphones have weights inside them to make them heavier and give the illusion of quality and sturdiness. I got called broke for having Bose headphones and not having Beats. Or $300 plus pair of Bose headphones. To add, he was a friend who said it jokingly, but with a little bit of seriousness. He's one of those people that blows his whole paycheck on the latest trends. I don't want to come off as someone who brags, as some replies alluded to. I do make good money, but I'm not one of those people that tries to show off my money. So, if the headphones are too heavy, I should disassemble them and remove the weights? Arguably yes, if they would be more comfortable lighter, you could. I install commercial audio/video systems. On bigger, more involved jobs like stadiums and arenas, we have AV consultants who don't work for my company, but are a big link in the chain, as far as designing and echoing the finished system. I don't know how many times I've been up in a 80-foot boom lift and they want the azimuth or down angle of a speaker adjusted by some ridiculously small amount. So you get back up there, bang a couple wrenches on the speaker, and don't actually move shit. How's that? Oh yeah. That sounds better. Works every goddamn time. There's actually a story like that when Michelangelo was carving the statue of David. Whoever he was making the statue for stopped by and said the nose was too big, but it only appeared that way because he was looking at it from directly beneath. So Michelangelo went up and pretended to carve it down and dropped some previously carved shavings to save arguing. I can't tell you how many times I did this to my uppity professor in art school. Worked like a fucking charm every time. When I was in my film major in college, our audio professor told us to have some spare cables on hand to wire up a dummy on the control board. Just a big obvious cord coming out of the controls and wired into nothing, stuffed behind an Apple box or something. If it sounds perfectly fine to you, he said, just twist or slide something on the dummy channel ever so slightly and play it again. As an IT person, giving a user a new monitor will make them swear their computer is faster. Here's the other side of that coin. Users who hate change. I recently rolled out new systems for a client. A few days later I asked one of the workers if she liked her new super fast computer. She replied, "Actually, it's slower. Increase the mouse pointer speed." I can tell users I made a change on the back end, and they say the issue has improved. The exaggerated sounds of some vacuum cleaners, microwaves, and cars to make them sound powerful. The loading screens on some apps that make it seem like they are doing something complex. I once spoke to a guy involved in developing the first ATM cash machines. Early trials showed that users thought that the dispensing of cash happened too fast and didn't trust that it had correctly debited their account for the right amount. So they inserted a wait cycle to make it appear that the machine was counting the cash. That wait cycle is still there today in most machines. I still double check after a deposit. So I guess people like me are at fault. I once received nothing while being deducted 10. Still mad. Was a student's last money on 25th of month. When my cat wants fresh food, but he still has some in his bowl, I pretend to put more in there. He usually falls for it. Does the bowl have high sides? Eating out of bowls instead of flat plates can sometimes cause issues with their whiskers touching the side and being overstimulated, since they are quite sensitive. Indeed it does. Try a flat plate, he might complain less. What you're interpreting as, "Please food slave give me more food," might actually be, "Please food slave fix that thing where my whiskers feel weird when I try to eat this delicious chicken." Either way you're a food slave. Airport security. Homeland Security's own inspectors were able to get illegal items through TSA checkpoints 70% of the time. But they'll be damned if you think you're gonna get away with taking that water bottle or travel-sized bottle of lube on the plane, sir. I specifically bought TSA travel-sized bottles for my lube, but was still concerned that someone was going to ask me what it was for. Best answer I could think of was dry skin. Which, in a way, is honest. One time in the middle of a flight during one of my dad's trips to Europe, knife fell out of his pocket, and he realized that it got through TSA and a few countries' security and customs. The original Febreze was unscented, but nobody believed it worked, so they added scent to it. Which makes me so mad. I despise every stinking fragrance on the market and just want things to not smell. If I want jeans to not smell like butt, I don't want to spray them with wet grass smell or whatever. Give me an odorless product. There aren't enough of them. That minty fresh, zesty clean feeling you get from toothpaste. It started as a marketing strategy and caught on, and now almost all toothpaste is mint, because we associate the minty freshness with cleanliness. Also the whole foaming thing doesn't do anything. It's the sodium lauryl sulfate that's in the toothpaste. I use Sensodyne because I'm allergic to it, and this toothpaste doesn't have it. When cake mixes first came out you only had to add water to them, but too many housewives felt like that was cheating and wouldn't buy cake mixes. So the cake mix companies added another step. The eggs. It worked. Apparently the cracking and adding of the eggs to the batter was enough to make it feel more homemade and cake mixes became extremely popular. Now I'm mad. I have probably 3 cake mixes in my pantry right now that I keep using up all my eggs before getting to make. If it wasn't for those housewives I would have had cake by now. Unbelievable. You can actually make them without the eggs. Some say it actually tastes better. Chances are, the cake mix you have already has ingredients that act the same way the egg would. The ingredient you're looking for is lecithin, usually listed as soy lecithin in dry goods, and it occurs naturally in eggs. The airplane that mommy feeds you. I don't think it's really an airplane. Lies. Deception. Your blanket covering your legs / yourself from a serial killer at night. Well, it's worked so far, so joke's on you, buddy. I'm not your buddy, guy. Not your guy, pal. As a former lifeguard, I can assure you that whatever cleanup you see lifeguards doing after someone vomits in the pool is almost certainly just show. There isn't really anything you can do, you just let the filter/chlorine take care of it and pretend to clean to please the suburban moms. I remember some kid shit in the pool and they closed it down for the remainder of the day. Is it different for shit? Or same story? Just come back tomorrow and it'll be clean and do nothing. Aquatics facility operator here. For vomit, mostly it's just water that comes up, because someone decided to drink the pool instead of play in it. We scoop out any chunks and clear the pool for 20 minutes, to let the chlorine and other chemicals, that are automatically fed into the pool do their job to kill any bacteria. For poop, we have to shock the water with more chlorine to be sure all toxins in the fecal matter is killed. Once we put the shock in the pool, the water has a super high chlorine level. After mere minutes everything is dead, but we have to keep the pool closed for 4 to 12 hours, depends on how much shock we had to use, more for runny shits and less for solids, because that much chlorine will irritate skin. Dislikes on YouTube comments. I never understood that, the numbers don't even go down. The numbers don't, but the comment moves further down in the list. If you go to a neutral comment, dislike it and then refresh, it'll be significantly lower down. That makes me feel better. They don't change the score, but they give them less visibility, or so I heard. Do commissioned creative stuff. If I deliver same or next day, people don't think I spent enough time on it. If I wait 3 days to deliver, people are happy because they assume I worked on their project non-stop, even though I was done a day or two prior. People don't just do this with creative stuff if it makes you feel better. We did the same thing when I did tax returns. A return might be done 15 minutes after the person left the office, but we'd wait 1 to 2 days before calling them to let them know it was ready. People need to feel like a little more time was spent on something to justify the price. I think it's because they don't think of it as paying for a person's experience/education/artistic talent. They think of it as just paying for a person's time. I swear my car performs better immediately after it's cleaned. This one is true though. If Gran Turismo taught me anything, it's that washing your car can add 5 to 10 horsepower. When I was a waitress 100 years ago, my customers asked me all the time to turn the heat up/down because they were too hot/cold. I'd be like, oh yeah, definitely. Let me go take care of that for you. Then I would go stand in the back, drink some water, and then head back to the table and tell them I'd adjusted the temperature. It worked every single time. They could also just not want to be the annoying person who asks twice, not in every case of course, but occasionally I'm sure that happened. And then there's me who would just freeze to death before even asking once. My husband always tells me I don't need a hoodie when we go out to eat. A lot of times, he's right, but sometimes it's 90 outside and 70 inside, and I feel like I'm too cold to talk let alone eat. My hoodie goes with me everywhere. That free shipping is a better deal. It generally means they've added the cost into the product instead, but you feel like you've gotten a better deal. This is 100% true. I used to sell furniture at a no gimmicks kind of place where they were open about all cost, including delivery. I would do the math for people, show them how we were still saving them tons of money even with delivery, but some people would still walk out and go pay literally hundreds of dollars more for free delivery from Ashley's. Loading spinners on web pages. I once had a user complain to me a web app was too slow, and it was pretty fast. So I tested him by making the animation spinner spin much faster. He went to my boss to praise me how much faster the web app was. Not even a spinner, but we added a message after loading that said, nearly there, when it got to the next step, and we got significantly fewer slow loading complaints. Wine prices. They've done studies that show people think wine tastes better if it costs more, but when they do a blind taste test, very few people, even people who are wine drinkers, not everyone, there are some people who can tell, but it's a pretty small percentage, can't distinguish between pretty cheap, around $15 to $20 bottle, and expensive wine. Your permanent record. Colleges care more about what you say on Twitter and Facebook than what you said to Dakota in 3rd grade. The only time your permanent record means something is if you transfer within the district. And the reason colleges care about that is because it's much easier for the average person to find out what you said on Twitter than it is for them to find out stuff on your school record. For men, shaving their beard makes it grow thicker. This not the case. Shaving only makes all hair grow at the same, giving the illusion that more or new hair is growing, when in reality it is not. ED.T. Yes, this is true with all hair, and women also go through similar situations of being berated with people telling them fallacies about hair. I had only the thought of beard thickness when I typed that. I sold Christmas trees as a kid in junior and senior high school. Learned a trick for super fussy customers who had me hold up multiple trees to show them. After the 10th or so tree, I'd yell to my coworker, "Hey Mike, if they don't want this one, put it aside for me." Nicest tree I've seen this year. Worked like a charm.